and a bunch of other projects to help me understand what goes on at conventions and just what's changed in the LP party statewide here in Georgia and nationally, because I think a lot has changed in the past year. Welcome to the show, Jake Green and Zach Varnell. Guys, always happy to talk to you guys. How are y'all doing?
Doing great, man. I love being back on your show. It's been quite a while.
It has been a little while. You got the Bitcoin, the hard Bitcoin over your right shoulder there.
Yes, I do.
Zach, you appear to be in a luxurious. Let me see what that background is there.
I'm here in Neo Tokyo on Super Earth.
Bro, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're a super hacker, so they probably need your skills over there on Super Earth. But I wanted to bring you guys on just because the LP convention in Georgia is on Saturday. We were all together last year. It was probably a little bit more monumental last year because it was a presidential race and they had the 7 candidates, and there was the circus was there a little bit as well. You had Toad's Feet. You had Mike Termont, which is a weird guy, and a lot of other weird, strange things. Very nice police officer. I don't want to say anything negative about him, but I probably will when the show's over and you guys aren't. I'm kidding.
I'd be happy to substitute for you.
No, I'm kidding. It was just probably going to be a little bit of a different vibe this year, but I know that there is a vote that's happening on Saturday for the chair of the Georgia Libertarian Party. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's actually some breaking news about it.
I want to know about it. Let's hear it.
Well, none other than 5th place presidential candidate Chase Oliver is running for chair.
Chase Oliver,
yeah,
who ran against Donald Trump, is running for chair of the LP party.
Yeah, he's going to transition the party.
Georgia, not of national.
Of Georgia, right.
Yeah, of Georgia.
What does the chair do?
Well, they get a decent amount of power over our fake pretend power. So they get to control the messaging. That's the big one, I think. So, what type of emails you're putting out, what type of, things the Twitter account is saying, the Facebook account. It can either be like super cringy and embarrassing, like it will be with Chase, or it can be, standard libertarian fare, or maybe even a little bit edgy like it is now.
So that's what the stakes are for this vote, is kind of the public facing persona of the Georgia Libertarian Party will either be progressives with guns or more right-leaning libertarian. Kind of the battle we saw at the convention last year. Is that
in a way?
Yeah.
I mean,
probably a smaller microcosm of what happened at convention last year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it's a microcosm of what's been happening for years. Like, a lot of people like me, and I think like Jake, joined the party because we're part of the liberty movement. And then there's this big name called the Libertarian Party who was just being woke online and just picking up boutique social issues and things like that. And we're like, what in the world is going on? Like, most of my friends, when they think libertarian, they think Libertarian Party. Like, it doesn't, maybe that's not right. That's just how it is. So they see that happening and we're like, well, we got to stop that. And there's been people, Chase among them, who just really hate that, we joined the party and made it more libertarian rather than progressive.
So it's an identity battle, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very much so. And it's just something where it would be extremely disappointing if we didn't win the chair this time and saw the last 4 years or so, 6 years or so of our very hard work go down the toilet.
So can it have that much impact? I guess the messaging it does create the public perception of it. Will that have in the state party? Let's back it up and then bring it back around to that. You have the National Libertarian Party, which definitely seems to have had an impact, and we got Trump's attention. There was, like you said, it was a microcosm of what was going on at the national level with the left-right libertarian battle. Republicans and Democrats hate each other, but not as much as libertarians hate themselves, is kind of what I gathered over the internal struggle of the libertarian. I almost see it as like it can be seen as a co-optable group because I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure why that is. But where's the National Party at right now? Would you say?
Disarray at the moment. There's even more conflict because the chair of LP National resigned and took a position in the Trump administration.
You talking about Angela
McArdle, yeah.
Hey, Angela. Hey, I'm Angela. I'm here to do an interview. I got glasses just blaring. She's going to have to work on her optics if she's going to be in the Trump administration.
Yeah, you mentioned that a few times, and I wholeheartedly agree with you on that.
What is her position in the Trump admin?
I actually don't even know. I didn't pay much attention once she left. I was a big supporter of hers. I liked the way she ran things. I liked her very hardcore, take no prisoners kind of attitude, and she didn't give a crap. And sometimes that works in our benefit. When she's doing media, that doesn't work all that well. But overall, I thought she was by far the best chair that the Libertarian Party has had, at least since I've known about it.
Yeah.
And she stepped down. Is there a new chair at the national level?
I think so.
A guy named Stephen Nikala.
Yeah.
And he's not a bad guy. I like him. She's just not Angela. She was more hardcore. I appreciate that. I like that. Steven's not the worst by any means, I don't think, but it is kind of like a step back, in my opinion, like more of a moderate position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't he make fire some comms people or something like that? Am I mistaken that?
He may have. I saw the same Facebook post or whatever you did. That's all the info I have is like somebody said something that wasn't even controversial, in my opinion. Maybe like slightly edgy, and he's like, well, there's a new spot on social media open because this guy's gone, something like that. So yeah, not a great sign.
Yeah, I don't know that that's the way you want to I don't know anything about the guy, but that seems the opposite direction of where culture might want to be, almost like let's be adults. And right now it's 2025, nobody is an adult anymore. Yeah. Everybody slings mud. That's the standard. And that seems to be how people get ahead. But with this new person taking over the chair, and if he is firing people, again, I just saw that post. Will that change kind of the way the party is viewed or the way they operate? Will it affect, will people leave the party? Will people join the party because of this? So some people say that it had an impact, that it helped Trump win. It seems to have helped Trump win. I think Trump probably would have won anyway. But what will change now that there is a new direction in the party?
I mean, I don't really see it as a new direction. I see it as like stagnation. Right. I don't think there's not going to be any bold messaging one way or another. I think it's got. I just feel like it's going to be extremely bland, and we have another convention next year, so we'll elect somebody else next year. But that's a year and a half away.
All right. So with the state conventions, how do they impact the state parties? What's their relationship with the national party?
Take this one, Zach.
Well, they're kind of all lumped in together a lot of times where people just see the word Libertarian Party. And if it's New Hampshire, if it's Tennessee, if it's Georgia, if it's national, whatever, people kind of see it as like, that's the messaging. So I do think that messaging standpoint, communication standpoint, having some like really woke ones out there kind of harms the reputation overall. But then also there's things like the state parties will send people to the national convention as delegates that then do things like elect the chair of the national party.
Okay. And who gets to be a delegate? Weren't you guys delegates?
Yep. Yeah. You get to vote on
Basically anybody who shows up.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you show up and you have a pulse and you don't completely suck, then you can probably get that delegate spot.
So what do you have to do to not get the delegate spot?
What do you have to do to not get the delegate? I don't remember who didn't get the delegate spot.
Basically, don't be there. That's the only way.
So take me through. I'm just trying to understand, and if people want to join the Libertarian Party or any party, like what they would be in store for and what would be required of them. What happens at a convention, a state convention for people who are members of the party like you guys? And like, what is that day like? What do you guys accomplish? What changes?
Have you've seen video of the Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention? Well, it's like the exact opposite of that. So there's
more
no
like that
fanfare.
socialist one where they're upset about pronouns or whatever. Like it's a mix between that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is like convention day, which we tried to, as me and Zach and a few other people tried to combine the Great Create with the convention to make it an actually fun-filled weekend full of, great libertarian
This year
ideas.
you tried to do that?
We did that 1 year in the past, and it did not go over well with some of our members who are a little picky about.
I thought the event was a success for sure.
Oh, the event was a massive success.
But people who have done it one way for 20 years and accomplished nothing didn't like change.
So what was their problem with it? Because I went to the Great Create this past year, and that seems like a great idea.
Yeah. What were all their complaints about that first one? One, I think it was Mother's Day weekend. So I think that was the first thing that people were whining about, which, there's only so many weekends in a year. You're going to have to pick one. And that was the best one. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know,
been all
man.
sorts of complaints.
Are people is it like a control thing?
Yes.
You
It's
wanna do it?
100% a control thing. So if you just think about what Democrat versus Republican is for the nation, it's conservative or right-leaning libertarians versus left-leaning libertarians in the party. So the exact same thing happens where every couple of years there's a new election within the state party, within the national party, and new people are elected. And if you don't get your people in there, then you've just ruined the last 2 or 4 years of your hard work. And so it's just people desperate for power and not wanting to give it up. And definitely not wanting to give it up to people who they think are going to absolutely ruin the party.
But also the thing is, there's not a ton of real power there. Like you can create the power, you can be an influential person and apply pressure to politicians. And sometimes the titles like chair of this party will help with that. But
that's what I was curious about.
Into it, and you're like, oh, I'm now some big dog because I have this title. It doesn't work that way. So really, people are usually just preserving their social club, where it's like, well, I've been a member of the party since 1997, and we've never done it this way. We've also never accomplished anything, but I want to keep doing it this way. And when some long-haired loser like me comes along and is like, well, we need to, maybe make this a little fun and not just be debating bylaws the entire time. They'll be like,
so
oh,
is that what happens during the conventions? Is the bylaw debate?
Yes, that does happen. I will say that even the convention itself can be fun and interesting. It gets old quickly. It is not my thing anymore. But the first time or two I went, I was like, this is kind of interesting because it's a bloodless battle. It's a chess game. There's all sorts of maneuvering. It's like people are speaking a foreign language sometimes, and they are taking power. They're taking control over something, and it can be interesting to watch and very interesting to even be a part of. But for people like me, it gets old quickly, and I don't want to talk about bylaws or platform ever again. And some people live for that.
And the bylaws are. We're getting in the minutia of this, people who are listening, just because I want to understand it. I want to understand because this goes on. It's opposite, like Jake said, but this is where people can co-opt power. So I see the libertarian. You said it's not a lot of power. Some people can use it as a social club, and maybe that's part of why they don't like the change. Maybe they don't want it to have a greater influence because maybe they don't feel like they would have as much of a say or whatever they identify themselves with. They might feel changes. I don't know, but the Libertarian Party has that brand of the third party to people who don't, it is a third party and it's recognizable to everybody. Think about Ron Paul. And so just by its name, it does have a level of influence, and anybody who can kind of take charge of it and steer it in a certain direction, they can, whatever their purpose is, maybe achieve that purpose based on that brand. Now, I like Angela. I don't know what Angela's goals are or anything, but Angela she did not have a big presence online before she became the LP chair. Now she's going to be in Trump's cabinet or something, right? And she blew up on social media, and it was because of that. She took a very definitive strategy with that role, and she put up with a whole lot of stuff. But that definitely expanded her reach and her recognizability, if that's a word. And also, I noticed last year, I was moderating the debate, like halfway through the debate, I was like, man, I should have done what everybody else up here running for president as libertarian is. I should have ran too, just to advertise my podcast.
You should have.
I mean, that is kind of what was going on for like a handful of the people up there. It was a tour of podcast advertising, and the Libertarians do get a little bit of press coverage. Chase has gotten himself some press coverage from that Senate race or whatever it was he did in Georgia a little while back. I think for me, and I always try to think what grifters think, but also people who might have well-intended ambition. I think they might see the Libertarian Party as a way to co-opt a brand that has a level of influence that can kind of expedite their journey. And so that's why I am curious at the local stuff, because I've done a number of shows lately, a couple with Forest Mommy, covering the protests and stuff that's going on with Indivisible and all the local stuff, which Elon Musk recently was talking about the indivisible people. I've been talking about them since 2017. Finally, Elon Musk is on board saying, this isn't grassroots. Oh, well, no shit, Elon. Why don't you tune in 8 years ago? Okay. And these people who are funded top down, former congressional staffers, they're like, MSNBC is kind of the activist mouthpiece for them. They do a dual strategy of national stuff, but for this time around, their focus has been on local stuff. And it enables them to go to town halls, to go to school board meetings, and to actually use the local power that libertarians especially, they want smaller government, give the power back to the states, back to the people. And these communists are actually going over and taking advantage of that to say, stop Trump have executive order about no trans women playing sports or whatever. And the executive orders don't mean anything at the state level, but they're getting in these school board meetings, and they're doing it through these indivisible emails through the organizing, and they're going in there and they're insisting you reject the federal stuff. The power belongs to the state. And so when I see the Libertarian Party, I'm like, that's kind of an opportunity to have someone go in there and fight back against that agenda at the local level. That's kind of the way I've been thinking about it, at least at the state level. Did any of that make any sense? That's why I'm curious what goes on at the state level, because I don't think people have a clue. But the communists do know how all this shit works. There could be some commies coming in there trying to win positions of power in any libertarian state party. I don't know, but I know that these people seeking power, they go after it where they can get it. And right now where they can get it is at the local level, and it's in situations, maybe not necessarily like the Georgia one, but just in any type of local government where people don't know what the hell is going on or how it works. And maybe I should have started the show off with that, but that is why I'm curious about how some of this stuff works, because I don't know how it works.
Yeah. Man, I think the innate thing that is the biggest problem that libertarians have is that any true libertarian doesn't want any of the power. Like,
right.
I know. Libertarian wants to be in charge of all this crap. We want to see it all burned to the ground. And so it does make the Libertarian Party very susceptible to outsiders coming in and taking it over or ruining it in some way, shape, or form. And that has happened. I mean, it happened for like 20 years. We just party went down a terrible path, and it is a problem. We do have some really great people in the Libertarian Party who try extremely hard, and we all work pretty dang hard at everything we do. But
Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong. Like, somebody could come in, infiltrate, and really take it over and do some harm for quite a while. And it's happened before, and it will probably happen again.
Well, what we did was infiltrate and take it over. Like,
Yeah.
we took it over and co-opted it for the liberty movement, because it wasn't what we wanted it to be. And that's what we did.
Right.
You know, who are we? And especially now, like, or then, I mean, like, I wasn't on podcasts. I didn't know you, Brad. I didn't have anything of my own. I was just some dude who came in and joined this group of people who took over the Libertarian Party.
So
if it's that easy, it can be done again.
That's a great point. So what made both of you guys join the party?
For me, it was end of 2019, beginning of 2020, when I saw the writing on the wall with COVID. I was never political before that, and I actually joined a caucus of the Libertarian Party before I joined the Libertarian Party. And it was people like Dave Smith, like Scott Horton, Tom Woods. Those were three guys that I listened to quite a bit. But for me, it was always the economics. It was watching them print money. Just
Right.
Yeah, that's what kind of drove me to join the Libertarian Party and actually start, I guess, base my entire career off the Libertarian Party at this point. So, or at least the liberty
I mean, the
movement.
philosophy of it, I think the philosophy of it is very strong. I think that, I mean, there's a lot of people that I know that they're Democrats and big Democrats, but like in their personal life, they're very resourceful and they take initiative. And I'll tell them, I'm like, you act like a libertarian would act, but they been brainwashed into thinking they have to have some sort of reliance on this big government. Zach, what about you? What made you join the party?
Well, I've always been a libertarian. I think I was just born this way. My dad was a libertarian. It's just how it is. But then, like, I always thought the party was a joke. Never was interested in really joining it. Like, I remember even during college, I went to Kennesaw State, and I knew some people who went to the conventions back then, and they called me. It's like, hey, Zach, if you come down here, you could be on the board right now, having never been here before, because they don't have enough people.
And that's what I'm talking about, like that.
And I was
exactly.
like, nah, don't want to do that. That sounds stupid. Like, I don't want to be part of the party. Like, that's
you
just
can
how
be,
it
like,
was.
you can be chair, Zach. We'll give you.
Yeah. But,
That's- yeah.
I don't know. I just was always kind of looking for my place. Like, what can I do to advance the ideas of liberty and just common sense? And I, wasn't really getting much traction. And I'm like, well, this seems like low-hanging fruit. Joining this group of people who are going to take over the Libertarian Party, it seems very doable. And then we can make it maybe not as embarrassing as it has been. And, it worked out. And unfortunately, during that time, I got very involved and ingrained and a big part of it now.
It's interesting. You guys are making great points. Denver says, excellent point. Excellent point, Zach. It can be done again and again. And Jake, you made the point of the challenge with libertarians is if you're a true libertarian, you don't want to be organizing people. You're a reluctant leader. That's what a true libertarian would be. They'll do it because, in my opinion, maybe because they think it's necessary, but you're up against these other organizations, Republicans, Democrats. They're super organized and everything is dependent on this basically top-down structure. And so for someone to come in and make it super organized, there's always going to be kind of an eyebrow raise, I think. Which is good. I think it should be that way. I think there should be scrutiny. I think people should welcome scrutiny upon themselves when they take those positions. And anybody who doesn't, I don't think should be in those positions.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I don't think anybody should be in a position of power who's not encouraging people to criticize them. Trying to silence that, you have ulterior motives, in my opinion. And what is it like? So getting really into the weeds here. The bylaws. So I'm trying to see if there's any libertarians out there that want to come join the party for you guys, or just anywhere where they are.
Yeah.
What would the day be like, and what ways you tried to make it fun, make it cool by trying to combine it with a great create a couple years ago, you said, but help people understand what the day is like and what their contribution would be if they were at a convention. Help them understand the bylaws, all that shit.
Well, let's Zach, let's give the example. Let's just talk about this convention. Let's act as though like this is the one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, if someone were to come to the convention on Saturday, it's not a short day. I think we'll be doing business from about 8 to 6, somewhere in there, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And oh man,
who's in charge?
I'm getting PTSD just thinking about this.
I know. I didn't mean to put you on the spot with this.
So right now, the chair of LP Georgia is a guy named Jared Bell. He's been absolutely fantastic. Really good dude. Has been a wonderful chair and does exactly what he should be doing for the cause of liberty. And
does he get paid?
No.
Probably costs him money.
Yeah, it would definitely cost him money and a whole lot of time and just so much grief that you wouldn't believe it. Zach, why don't you describe what the day is going to be like, man?
Well, okay, so it is kind of a formal process, follows Robert's Rules of Order. Jared will be up there with a gavel and actually.
What's Robert's Rules of Order?
I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like a process of speaking and doing motions and things so that
like a court of law, you got to do these things and it's
kind of like that. It's just so that like nobody can really like run over everybody else. Like there is a fair process in place. Yeah. And it's like that, but in Georgia historically it has been pretty casual and like it's still followed, but it's not like, I don't know, we can't treat each other like humans. But then there'll be things like, here's the reports from the officers over the last year. Like, what have we accomplished? The executive director might get up and talk and things like that.
5 things, exactly. Yeah.
And then there'll be elections of new officers. So this year, the chair is up for re-election, Jared. And then, we got Chase running against him to take over the party and make it
How long is the term?
2 years.
Oh, you said 2 years. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys just found out Chase was running, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We thought it was going to be a different guy within the LP.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
so is that a strategy from Chase or is that how it normally works?
Well, it's their strategy to normally keep it, close to the vest. And then on the day, they're like, surprise, this guy's running. And then it usually fails spectacularly.
Yeah.
But Chase actually is, one of the more popular people they've ever put up. So we can't really count on it failing spectacularly this time.
No, I mean, Chase is he's a good public speaker. He's good at being a politician. And I feel like he probably is, not his only motive. And I can't mind read him, but he seems to have, an aspiration to be in politics, and this maybe recognizes what Angela is able to do at the national level. And when you told me that somebody was running for chair, if you told me that 2 years ago, I'd have been like, who gives a shit? But because I saw what Angela was able to do, and she blew up. She blew up on social media and her public appearances and for the work that she did and getting that opportunity in Trump administration. I can now see that being a model that is being followed at the local level, and I can totally see Chase trying to make the most. He's somebody who would make the most of that if at all possible.
Yes, he absolutely would.
Who do you think's going to win?
Jared will win, but it requires people showing up. Like you can't rest on your laurels. Like you have to show up and vote for him. But I think Jared will pull it off because Chase is just insanely unpopular among everybody who's not in his core group.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for good reason.
Is it a majority vote?
That is so spot on.
Meeting procedures.
Voting, debates, decision making, and agenda setting. Oh my God. Yeah.
Can't they? If somebody wants to hold something up, I think some of this might have been going on at the national convention that I heard afterwards. I don't know the truth of it, but if you want to be like, I don't like this bylaw, can you like challenge a bylaw or something and do that to slow something down, to push a vote to the next day, to cause people who might vote to leave?
Oh yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And since this convention, our convention is only one day, if we don't get to something, we're not going to get to it till the following year. So
holy smokes.
Yeah. So if something doesn't go through on Saturday, then we won't get to it again for at least another year, if not further into the future. So
it's happened before.
Oh yeah. And that's another thing. Like the chair, the poor Jared has to like know Robert's rules and know what he can rule in order, rule out of order, know how to run the entire meeting. And it is a complicated process. And it's not the easiest. It's not the most straightforward. It is. I mean, Zach's right. Like sometimes it is kind of exciting. Like sometimes you see people running around the room, whispering in people's ears, telling people to do stuff. And it gets interesting.
I thought it was interesting at the national convention. And when I saw everybody, all the secret meetings going on, meeting behind poles and stuff, Chase and Termont, and I saw a couple other secret meetings from candidates, but people getting up on the mic during the open speaking time, telling Angela to suck them off and stuff like that. That was all very interesting for me. You guys, a lot of people seem real heated, but I was like, this is crazy. What's going on here?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a wild convention.
It was
more heated I think, than the last one.
Well, the last one, I was thinking 2016. I don't know about the 2021. I watched a video of the 2016 debate that had like 35 people, and
oh my gosh, yeah.
It had Penn, and the guy from Penn and Teller was moderating it.
Is that the one where they're like, "What's next? A license to use your damn toaster?"
That's exactly. Is that where the guy got naked? Something like that? Yes,
maybe.
Yeah, I think that's the one. So that's what I'm talking about. I think people see it as an opportunity. But also it's an opportunity can be used in either direction, and I do think even though it can seem boring, it always seems hard to learn something that you don't know much about. Like it's just how our brains work. But like the commies always have people that'll go do the stuff that other people don't want to do, and I think while the Trump show is going on, there's always going to be something crazy going on.
Yeah.
That is such an opportunity to capture power at the local levels using the very values of libertarianism, small government, against the libertarians and conservatives. Simply, they'll switch it around once they get in power in the national government. But you do hear, and you do see in these activist emails, smaller power, state power. And I'm like, man, they're saying the same shit, simply the exact opposite that they used to say, simply because Trump is in power.
You're very right, though, that like the commies love this stuff.
Dude.
Like we're reluctant. We don't want to go. We don't want to spend our weekend like this. But even in the Libertarian Party, I won't call them commies, but the people who are like left leaning and have progressive values, it's like being at Disney World on Christmas for them. They love it so much.
That's where the struggle is. The state of gay race commies, what Nate says. Yeah, that's like, that's part of the struggle. So I think Stalin was an administrative person, and he controlled the books of, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Lenin. I don't. I might be getting some of the names confused, but it was one of those dictators back in the day. Started off as like a secretary. He made appointments, but he would control the appointments, and he would not tell the main dictator about some, and he would tell him about others. And he did the stuff nobody else wanted to do, but that was crucial to determining the direction of things and who was able to get opportunities to meet with, I don't know, Lenin, whoever, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yep. Lenin was known for his quick rise, so it might have been him, but I don't know either.
Yeah.
Not a history guy.
It's one of those commie guys.
You're totally right, though. Like having somebody, and that's what we've got a couple of these guys. One of them just left the state, Nick Soselsky. He is incredible at all the things that the rest of us don't want to do. And it's just great that he has our mindset and wants to further actual freedom and liberty. And so he'll be the one on the floor where something crazy happens and everyone's like, Nick, what do we do? and
just
he has
knows
an
it.
answer every dadgum time.
Yeah,
Kid's a
it's
genius.
valuable.
So, yeah, it's
What
nice
is
to
one
have-
example of a bylaw that might be controversial?
Well, the bylaws maybe aren't so controversial.
Yeah.
It'd be like the platform.
I want to pee in the
Like-
women's restroom.
Yeah, well, that wouldn't be in the bylaw.
Nancy
but some
Mace
of the
will be
bylaws,
there with her Davy Crockett hat on.
yeah, some of the bylaws might just be dated, but they're not super controversial. But like the platform is used like, here is what the party stands for. And that can be controversial. Like, you know, at
Okay.
National
Right.
a few years ago, they got rid of the one that says like racism is irrational and repugnant. And, you know, not because we're racist, but because that's a thought crime that we're policing.
I know. Wait, why do you have to say that? It's just,
Yeah. And then there was the abortion.
so is
plank
butt
where
fucking a spider.
Yeah, don't do that, but it doesn't need to be in the platform. Like,
Right. Why are you removing that, you anti-spider?
yeah. And that one was in the state platform too, and we replaced it or removed it with something that was like, you know, I don't know, marginally better. And they're just stuff like that, though. It's like if you want
That
trans
is thought
bathrooms to
control.
be in there, if you could go put it in there. If you wanted to remove it, you could remove it. It's like there's the
Okay.
culture war a little bit there
So
too.
that is like Denver here says, according to a quick search, 30% of House members, 51% of senators have law degrees and practice law, according to this Congress. And that's what I was thinking, because I went to law school, and this is what this sounds like to me. It sounds like if you want to get hung up on the minutia of certain things, then you can do it if you know the laws, and you can also do stuff like that, like politicians and like lawyers do all the time for their clients. Is you can just start inserting things like the racism thing. Why are we not denouncing every single bad word, or every single dog whistle, or every single look that could be interpreted subjectively to hurt trans people of color, or whatever? And that is simply a way to control people, is all that is.
Yeah.
And so I
It
can
was
see
a
getting
cudgel.
battles over that all the time. I would hate that.
That's
God.
definitely what's happened, man. Like trying to get that we oppose bigotry line out of the dadgum plank was.
Oh yeah, it was bigotry, not racism.
How long did you guys discuss that?
It's even stupider. I mean, how long was that? That vote lasted a very long time. It was a big debate. People were freaking out. I mean, after that got removed as a plank, I witnessed people screaming in other people's faces. They were so like angry about,
because that automatically
Facebook
means you're
screened
pro bigotry if you don't make that statement everywhere you go. Like everywhere you walk
That is-
in, I am anti bigotry.
That is literally how they used it. It was a cudgel where they could be like, well, you know, I think what you're doing, you know, supporting the Atlanta Hawks is bigotry, and our platform says not to do that. It's just anything,
Right.
Because it's so subjective.
Right. And they can and those who control the messaging, and this is the chair is kind of a fight for controlling the messaging, can control that. And that is identity politics, is victim politics. It's what, when it comes to the national messaging for the past about 8 years, that's what it was. It's everybody is rewarded when they claim to be oppressed, and they find a reason to be oppressed about anything. And it is so disempowering and so crippling, and it creates a new victim group out of anything, and it puts total power with the government. But people think that they're helping them. And so anybody who's making like arguments like that in the Libertarian Party, I don't know that I classify them as a libertarian.
Yep. That's mine and Zach's thoughts exactly, I think. Not to speak for Zach. Sorry, Zach.
You're good.
Yeah.
Will that kind of stuff be going on Saturday?
I think most people will be focused on the chair race. I think most people want to get to that and make sure that gets accomplished before we really tackle anything else. We have to go through some procedure stuff before the chair, but I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know, Zach, are planks and stuff on the menu this time?
I mean, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
it's not the focus this year. I don't think that's what is on everybody's mind, but they're probably, you know, there have been people who in the background working on this stuff that are going to bring it up at convention. I don't know that there's going to be anything like super controversial like there has been in years past. Like, you know, we got the bigotry plank removed at national, I think fairly easily because it was just dominated by people who agree with us. But then on the state level, like Jake said, there was some of that maneuvering one year where they got it pushed to the next year. And then I remember one year, like Chase was personally freaking out that it might be removed and like, you know, almost literally shaking, like, oh, I just can't believe they're going to remove bigotry and we're all awful. And was like trying to think of these things to get it removed. And I think we did anyway, luckily. So
that's it's interesting to me about Chase. So Chase is for me when I've talked to him, he seems like a nice guy in person. And look, not to use I'm not saying this word directed towards anybody. I'd done a lot of theater. I knew immediately Chase was a theater person. I asked him if he did theater after I met him, and he said he used to. And I was like, it's obvious that you did it. And my gay friends in theater, you know, if they called me a faggot when I was being a faggot, it didn't mean anything in a gay way. It meant nothing like that. But the weaponization of those words, I don't know. It just seems non-congruent. Maybe that's I know he's probably, so Chase is a younger guy. I'm sure he's probably surrounded by some people who might, especially when his role in the Senate
I don't think he's
race.
That young. I mean, he's not old, but he's older
younger.
He's like 40.
He's like 40, yeah.
Yeah.
That's young, Zach.
I mean, he's not gray haired, but he's not, a young pup either. So.
Right. No, he's just a baby, dude. No, and that's the conditioning of politics, and I don't think. I mean, that's not libertarianism at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's personal feelings. Like it's like what you feel on a personal level. Like I'm a devout Christian. I'm not bringing my Christian religion into the Libertarian Party to try to determine where the Libertarian Party goes. And like,
don't you think your white nationalism will rub off on that?
I'm definitely bringing that in, but that's a completely different story. And like this whole woke mind virus and all these things that they want in the social justice world are not congruent with libertarian ideas and libertarian principles. They're only in so much as they're like personal lives, like they would have the freedom to do what they wanted to do, but that doesn't mean it needs to be implemented into libertarianism.
And that's a great point. It gets people get that confused when they talk about it. Sometimes I confuse it when I talk about it, that you can have your personal life, but it doesn't need to be standardized by some rule.
Yeah.
And the culture war has kind of made a lot of people see things as being standardized or not. Trump's executive orders, while funny, they make it seem as though government should have some sort of control over certain issues that it has no business, meddling in.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
What do you guys think of what's the libertarian position on executive orders?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure libertarian philosophy says executive orders shouldn't really exist, since the federal government shouldn't have the power to say any of that anyway. Federal government is only there to protect our God-given human rights and nothing else. So yeah, I mean, probably against executive orders, but there's once a government's too far gone to actually correct in a like legislative way, then maybe executive orders is the only way to get back to the point where we could do that. I don't know. I just, I'd like to see it all burned to the ground.
I'd say like the content of them and the effect, there's probably ones that like we really like. I'm sure there's some bad ones I haven't seen. I don't know, but there are some ones we really like. And on principle, that's not how we think government should run. If we were to have a government, we think, Congress needs to pass stuff, yada, yada. But at the same time, we're in a street fight with people armed with knives, and we're insisting that we play by Queensberry rules of boxing.
Right.
So,
and they're rock hard and they're all women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mind so much if we stab a few times, because It's like, well, we're in a street fight right now. Maybe we're not going to follow every single rule to the T.
Right.
And I like the effect, and I want to inflict damage on our opposition, and I want, to live a bit of a freer life if possible, even if it didn't come from the exact rule set we would have liked.
And so that's an interesting point. What are you gave some of your thoughts there on it. This idea of principles or nothing else, which a lot of times when I hear people saying that, nobody ever actually lives that. I mean, that's an ideal that I'm not saying people don't try to. I'm saying we're humans and we're flawed. And people who I hear who parade around like they live by the most principles of anything, libertarianism, whatever, it takes 5 seconds to point out there's 18 things you did that just violated those principles that you said. But there seems to be a debate often in the Libertarian Party about people don't want to do certain things because it's a violation of these principles, which, as we said earlier, seems to be a debate over what those principles are within the party, even though I tend to agree with you guys. Is that how you guys feel on that? Like, get wins where you can and just don't be a bitch about everything. And like, I shouldn't say that because I totally get principles. Like, I don't know.
Well,
but you can get nothing done sometimes.
Yeah. My principles come more from, the effect, like what happens in reality, and not maybe as much how you got there. Like, I don't think you should, commit like aggression on people necessarily to get there. But if we're in a scrap, we're in a fight, we need to fight back. And the left has shown they will go to like any means to get us into like, 15-minute cities or whatever they're hurting us into. And we need to fight however we can to get out of it, not follow parliamentary procedure.
Exactly. And so Trump's executive orders, in my opinion, they are probably more than anything, they're messaging to change the culture of the messaging. And it is in the hands of those at the local level to go and make sure they don't let their town ignore that messaging, because that's where you can set the rules, like where you guys are doing it, and you don't want the commies to come in and take over that. And I feel like people will push back. I don't know. I feel like people have been pushing back on Trump. I mean, you guys are big fans of Trump Gaza. I know that. I don't want to take anything away from that. But, right? Are you fans of Trump Gaza?
Totally.
I mean, just the AI video.
What do you? So we've talked about. I do want to ask you guys about some of that. If I go, I'm going to be there for the dinner, and the dinner, there's going to be people who have lost. Their side lost, and their side won. We don't know what that's going to be yet. You guys think the right-leaning side will win? Chase, you think they'll probably won't show up to the dinner if they lose? You think they will?
Probably not. Yeah, I don't think they will.
No, they wouldn't.
I wish that they would.
There's been a history of people on his side like refusing to do anything that requires money if they're not in power. So like the Great Create was one of those things where they're like, well, we can't pay
there. Trump's going to be there.
We can't pay the $42 it takes to have this weekend of fun because we're supporting evil people like Jake.
Right. Well, so I'm going to be there with fake Trump and Elon Musk. Was going to be Biden. Surprise.
By the way,
bringing
real
Elon.
Quick, the convention's free. I didn't mean to say it was $42. That was another thing. But if you want to show up, it's free.
Yeah, show up to the convention. And the dinner's not free, though, is it?
No, it's separate. But
yeah, come to that also. Pay to come to that.
Yeah.
Because hopefully, so I don't want it to. There'll be drama there, which I'm okay with the drama because I'd like to get the people who hate each other the most in the room. I told you this the other night, Jake. I'd like to get them up in front of everybody and have them do trust falls in front of each other, like people who have each other blocked on X because they're so mean on X. You know what would be funny is to get the people who have said the meanest thing on the left and right side of the party on X, get them up together and have transcripts of what they said to each other on X and have them read those transcripts to each other in person.
And then just put a gun between them, see what happens.
Yeah, read it. Say it to his face. Say it. That would be funny.
That is so good, man. And if they won't read it, I think you should project it behind them on a big screen so that everybody can see.
But we do. We'll do act outs of it. We'll have those ready, and we'll get the chainsaw. We'll have the Elon Musk chainsaw come in. So that's going to be interesting. I am going to try and get there to see some of this meeting. If I'm there and somebody says something I don't like, can I just start screaming and say, NAP, non-aggression principle? Is that like
That's
a defense?
encouraged.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Heavily encouraged. Yeah. That's
Are
how
you-
most libertarians
yeah.
interact with each other.
Would I be able to raise my hand and say stuff if I was there? Or would that be looked
People
down
would-
upon?
People would get upset pretty quickly, but yeah, you could.
Don't tell me that. I'll definitely do it.
I mean, there's like a microphone there that anybody will be able to go up to and make some sort of point. So, and there's debate where anyone can join in, and believe me, they freaking do. We can all agree on something.
You don't
and
have to be
15
in the
people
party
will
to do
debate
that.
it.
Right? Right. So you don't have to be in the party to participate.
You do have to
in
be
that?
a member. You do have to be a member. So that, yeah. So it's like $35 a year to join. And if you're a member and you show up, you are a delegate to the state party. So you're there, you're voting, you're choosing the chair, you're
What if
I
I,
mean,
have
you
an
could show up and
ID?
just watch if you
Can I
wanted.
say that I'm Mike Tremont?
I think people would buy it.
Yeah, they'll let me do anything there. I'm a
You might want to
police
wear
officer.
like a cop stash.
Yeah,
I wear a cop stash and I have a camcorder.
You gotta wear a suit. Maybe.
Terrible audio and everything. I do think it's funny that Chase, he's like the Stop Cop City. He led some of those protests, and then he got a cop to be his VP running.
It's so stinking funny.
That was
So
funny.
good. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So that's going to be at Cherokee Pines. Is that what it's called? Cherokee Pines in Perry, Georgia.
Perry, Georgia.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it is Saturday starting at 7 a.m.
I think probably checking in from 7 to 8. I'd say it kicks off a bit after 8. Is
And
usually how it goes.
The
Yeah.
dinners. Jocelyn will be coming there. I'm going to tell Josh to bring both outfits to play both sides. Jocelyn, we'll give you a little Jocelyn over here, a little Trump over here. Is maybe what we'll do. And
dude, I'm so excited.
yeah, we'll see what happens. I want to go watch just to kind of see the crowd. And
Hopefully Elon doesn't impregnate Jocelyn.
That's exactly what I've been worried about. Because what that'll do? That'll bring down the whole structure about men can't get pregnant if he can get Jocelyn pregnant. Not that Jocelyn's a man. Don't want to say that. Very pretty lady, but doesn't have ovaries. So we'll find out. So if you're in Georgia, if you're in Perry, if you're nearby, come check it out. If you want to come check out the dinner, 6 to 9, Maybe you'll stick around for the show. Maybe there'll be some drama. Maybe it'll be fun. Maybe we'll burn it down. Maybe it'll be awful. I don't know. But you'll probably laugh at least a little bit once.
It's gonna be fun. You're gonna make sure it's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna love it.
Yes, yeah. Some people will like it. Some might not. We'll find out who. Okay. So what do you guys think of just Elon Musk and Doge right now? What do you like some of it, don't like others of it, or just the whole, all of it? I
dig it. I'm a huge fan of it. It's what I voted for. Like all these ridiculous people saying, no one voted for Elon Musk, no one voted for Doge, no one voted for all these people that are tangentially related to Trump.
Right.
BS, man. That is garbage. Like Elon Musk was on the campaign trail with him 100%. Like I was not planning on voting for Trump, and then I ended up voting for Trump at the last minute. And it was two things. It was Elon Musk possibly auditing the Federal Reserve, although he's been auditing a million other things, which is great with me, and freeing Ross Ulbricht. So they've already accomplished one of those things, and the other, hopefully they'll get to. If not, the more you can expose of the crap that they're spending our money on and printing our money into oblivion, the happier I am. Like I couldn't care less about all these people whining about this. It makes no sense that you don't want knowledge and information. Like you're an idiot.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a fan too. I like what's going on. I like him shutting things down, and I would like more of it. I would like to see receipts, and I would like more of this shut down. Again, it goes back to, should maybe some of this be shut down through Congress? Sure. But is it ever going to happen? No. So I think the executive should have somebody, or do themselves, someone to just fire people, shut things down. If you can't fire them, make them come to the office, get rid of their chairs, to let them have bathroom breaks, call them names, whatever.
Get them pregnant.
To do.
Yeah. But what about these poor federal workers that they got to pay their mortgage? These poor January 6 lawyers who lost their job when Trump ended the investigation and freed all of those criminals. Don't you feel? I mean, there's protests going on across the country for these people that these protesters never even knew existed until a few weeks ago. Do you guys feel for them?
I mean, the hardship's real. You have to feel for them. I feel like,
I started a GoFundMe for the Jan 6 lawyers.
I mean, definitely some of those people I don't feel bad for at all. They're going to have to join the productive sector. Too bad. I'm sorry. I know there's probably good people caught in this, like grandmas who just happen to have a job at some bureaucracy and they're not evil people.
Assassin grandmas for the CIA.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks.
Go figure out how to bake now.
I don't know. Like, we can't keep around do nothing bureaucrat positions or harmful positions just because the person in it might be a sweet old grandma.
Isn't it crazy how they've framed it? This is the new victim class. Are these?
Yeah.
Like you said, there are some people that everybody is not the same as the worst federal workers who have just been operating, with no scrutiny for decades on end. So there's some people that are going to have some genuine hardship, but that's not who we're talking about. We're talking about these people who are abusing in power for so long, and they have made them a victim class. They're doing these case examples, and they're having all of these people showed up at the Elon, Tesla Center to protest in support of probably somebody who's worth $15 million, who killed 100 people. Like, oh, what are they going to do? Meanwhile, these people are, purple hairs working at Starbucks. And it's just the gaslighting of it. It's wild. It's been taken to a whole new level. And every time I think that it can't go even further, it seems to surprise me again.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I can't believe how many people are protesting this stuff. What's really funny is like the base outcome of firing all these people is that they have to go get jobs, like real jobs in the real world that actually is productive. But I think the worse you treat them and the less leeway you give them and the more you make it the worst experience of their lives, I think the more likely they are to just hate government from then on, which then makes them, exactly my kind of people. So I think we should treat them worse than what we are now. Don't do exactly what Zach said. Don't give them any bathroom breaks. Fire them on a Tuesday afternoon. Don't give them any severance. Let's just, move on.
I would like to see the interviews that these employees go on. That could be a sketch when they've been fired. It's like, what did you do in your past job? Well, I killed 400 people and I injected Guatemalan children with syphilis. It's like, oh, okay. Well, I don't know if we have anything open here at Home Depot, but yeah,
that's so good, man. But
all right, guys. Let's if you guys have a few more minutes, we'll go through a smoking gun story to end it out in a
let's do it.
note. All right, let's see here. Thanks for coming on and talk about it. And I'm just trying to understand it because I'm trying to better understand the local government process, because it's everything we see on TV about it. It's just it's all designed to get people to vote or not. It's like check your box, but this stuff is there's actually more ways where you can go and contribute and have an influence and impact. The people they don't know the process of it, but the communists do, and I'm not a fan of the communists.
And
Absolutely.
The party's trying to do local stuff too. I know we're probably going to be a little outmatched by the communists. They're good at this. We're just getting started. But Party Convention too is going to be forming local doges to go audit your county and things like that. And there's this Defend the Guard initiative that me and Jake both work for at the state house and making calls and things like that. So we're in it too. We're not just doing bylaws and
that's interesting.
Complaining about each other. So
that's a great thing there. Trump does a whirlwind of things. Every day there's something wild, and he does this balance of stuff that people like and then crazy stuff. Free Ross, Trump Gaza. And then something else crazy happens, and he's doing the thing with Zelensky. And I think it's good that people point out what they like and also point out what they don't like, because everything shouldn't be binary. And the stuff that's good, the attitude. So I think compared to Democrats, I think Trump has always, at least based on the people who I know who are huge supporters of him, projected an attitude in them of optimism and kind of a can-do thing. And even though they're portrayed as racist, and what do you mean I could do anything I want and I'm more unique and valuable than anybody's ever told me, you racist? It's just like, what? But with a few exceptions, most of them have been like super cool, and it's not a attitude of learned helplessness, which is what Democrats is totally like. My white liberal friends think that they have to save their black liberal friends who grew up in the same rich neighborhood. It's like, well, who's your black? Well, Raymond over here. I'm like, Raymond's parents are richer than yours, and he's like a successful Hollywood puppeteer. What do you need to save him from? And he talks whiter than anybody I've ever met. And it's just like, it's people who've never played basketball and been around real black guys. Because if they said that shit to him, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's
Are
just
you saying Malia Obama isn't oppressed?
She's so yeah. I mean, I send her $9.99 every month just because her parents, she doesn't know who's dad.
My heart goes out to her.
Right, yeah. So, what do you think if you had to do you had to do an assessment of Obama's children? Do you know enough about them? I know they've had some internships. Would you welcome them into the Libertarian Party as leaders?
I
would probably assume they're infiltrators, but I mean, they honestly kind of seem cool. I just don't trust the family.
Right. But they come in with a mustache on, smoking cigarettes. It's like, hi, I'm Bill. It's like, you look like a woman. You dead named them. Okay, but the point with the Doge thing was like, even if you don't like some of the things Elon does with it, or if you don't think some of it's going to be followed through on, the fact that it has inspired local efforts to uncover stuff like this, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
Right. And the attitude of can do is a good thing. And I think people can get, especially in the alternative media community, they can get the black pill is the word, but it's because they're looking at this monolithic power structure of globalists that's like, how am I going to take them down all by myself at one time? That's not what it is. That's not you can control what's in front of you, and that's where you can that's where you can make change for yourself and for whatever it is that you do. And so the best advice I ever got for auditioning for roles, because people get nervous when you audition for TV shows and commercials and movies and stuff like that. These people are judging you and you want to impress them. Is a director said to me, everybody, when you walk in the door, you got to have the attitude. Everybody on the other side of the table is a pussy. These are pussies. And you go in, you're like, pussies. And you think about them that way. Because then, I'm not trying to impress these pussies. That enables you to do your job. And your only job when you're an actor is to do a good audition. People don't talk about your job as an actor is to do good auditions. That's like your first job. And if your mind is clouded with trying to impress them, then you suck. You don't do well in the audition. So if you just go in thinking, these friggin' pussies, and you're only going to focus on the role. And I think about those people, the globalists, the same way. They're a bunch of pussies. They're a bunch of people that are just as human as everybody else. They're just as petty. They infight just like everybody else. They have these insecurities and these weaknesses. And if I saw most of them on the street, some of them might know some karate or some weird shit. I'd probably whip their ass if I had to, but I wouldn't because I'm human. I don't like to do that kind of thing, but I would probably mock them and call them a pussy. And I think that's how we should see them. Is they're a bunch of pussies and they don't control anything and they're not alien, superpowered. And what you can do in front of you, not focusing on that, is how you can make change. And they don't want you to focus on what you can do in front of you and what you can do in your local towns and everywhere. They want you focused on the big show, and they want you demoralized. And just remember they're all pussies, and the power is in your hands to take like the next step to change the world and get whatever the hell you want. That's the great thing about propaganda for me, is once people are like, oh, propaganda, it's terrifying. No, it's not. Once you realize everything you've been told that limits you in your life, that makes you think that you can't do certain things because you don't have certain check marks or didn't get certain grades or go to a certain school, you actually can do anything because all of that is an illusion. So it's actually very freeing to me. And that was a bit of a tangent, but something when you guys said made me think of that. Oh, this the attitude of it. So even if Trump does stuff that people don't like, pointing that out, but also focusing on the shit that's good. I like to do that. So I played a 2-hour basketball game before this guy. So I'm a little, Binkley,
I friggin' love that point, man. Like, you're exactly right. Like, if you are so obsessed and consumed with, like, let's just take national politics, for instance, something that you have less than zero control over. You can't determine the outcome of jack squat on a national level.
Right.
If you're so consumed and focused on that, it's going to make you angry. It's going to make you hate people. It's going to make you completely irrational.
You feel helpless.
And therefore completely, like, easily controlled and manipulated.
Right.
And so focus on things within your control. Focus on the people around you, the community around you, your immediate surroundings. Stop focusing on the garbage that's presented to you every single day.
That's what I like about you guys. You guys take action about what you can do, and it's inspiring.
Yeah. And your point about, like, these are just people is a very good one. Like, I am as bad as anybody at getting nervous. Like, if I had to go meet with somebody or speak in front of people or just even talk to someone new, I will get nervous beforehand. But then you do it and you realize that was just some dude.
Right.
Like, they put on these air of, like, I am this indispensable, God king. But at the end of the day, it's just some guy or just some lady. And, like, for instance, last year when I went to the state house to testify for Defend the Guard, it's like my state senator came rolling through the doorway on her little jazzy scooter and got stuck.
Oh my God.
And people had to go over and, like, tow her out with an F-150 and I'm like, this is just some lady in very poor health.
Wow.
And you talk to her and, like, she's a nice enough lady, but some of them you talk to and you're like, well, this person's an absolute moron that just got into this. Or every now and then you meet someone like, this guy's cool, I could hang out with him. It's just some guy.
Yeah. And that's the whole, that kind of wraps it back around to the individualism of it. They try to get us to look at people in groups and judge people by the worst of every group, especially if they're, like, framed as the other. But the reality is you look at people as individuals, which I think is what libertarians are, individualists. Everybody's unique. Everybody's different. And obviously that's very, very racist. All right, which story here should we do here? Should we do cops brothel was run by Soon Bang? Okay, it's
what the frick is Soon Bang?
I think Soon Bang is the name of the brothel. I'm guessing that's an Asian. If I had to.
Yeah, you'd probably be right there.
Woman 18 vandalizes ex-boyfriend's car with yellow paint, or so she thought. What is that? Or so she thought? That's intriguing. I wonder what it was. Man tired of foreigners is busted. Is it Donald Trump that they're going to show a picture of, or like
Family Dollar worker attacked during attempted toilet paper heist?
Which one should we go with here, guys?
Zach,
well, I'm curious if they were stealing the toilet paper from the shelves or from the bathroom. But really, I don't know. That one sounds good to me, but I am curious about the yellow paint too. It's either going to be funny or very disappointing. Like she sprayed bug spray on the car. Who knows?
We'll do the yellow paint. Who was the Libertarian presidential candidate who turned totally Israel cuck? I'm not sure. You talking about this time around?
I don't know. Honestly, most of them I have not kept up with. So
yeah, me neither. Well, I mean, I follow Toad religiously, but
oh yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay, woman 18 vandalizes car with yellow paint, or so she thought.
It's wrong car.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it's the wrong car. So when planning to vandalize her former boyfriend's car with eggs and yellow paint. It's always a good idea to make sure you know the exact make and model of the. Yeah, you're right. It's the wrong car. Look at her, dude. So she's probably pretty when she's not on.
Yeah.
36 hours of non-sleep, I would say.
Yeah.
She mistakenly damaged the wrong auto car last night in Detroit. This young woman spray painted. That was a bait and switch headline.
I mean, they don't know basic grammar, or they manipulated basic grammar.
She was found covered in yellow paint and was cited for marijuana possession.
There we go.
I do remember the faces of meth. I do remember that. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
The faces of meth. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Right.
This is a before photo. I could easily see there being like,
this is the good
6
one.
months, someone who looks 30 years older.
Dude, there's
the same person.
There's been a girl in my neighborhood. She's homeless. Who, have you guys heard of the trank drug? It's like a mix of trank and fentanyl or something, and it was spreading around Philadelphia, and there was these pictures of these people that were like in a frozen zombie state. Like they'd be leaning over and you just see like dozens of them just not moving. And some of them would end up having to get their arms amputated or legs amputated because they stood in the same position for so long that it killed their body parts. And I always thought that was crazy when I first saw that story and saw the videos of it, until I saw this girl in my neighborhood a few weeks ago who was just standing in the street, frozen, staring up. And I was like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, and I just thought maybe it was like she was hammered and she was fighting with her boyfriend. And then I saw her on the other side of the neighborhood. And then I saw her in another part of the neighborhood in front of an abandoned house. And then I saw the police come in and try and talk to her and get her name. And she was just frozen every single time in a different part of the neighborhood. I'd never seen anything like it before. They couldn't even get her name. I'm pretty sure they were trying to figure out what her name is so they could contact her family. But she couldn't even move her mouth enough to form words. And it just like, it's so cheap and free. And it's like, it's really twisted to just give that to people. And they get addicted to it after that. But that's what this makes me think of, is stuff like that.
Yeah.
It sucks.
We need to bring back the giant butterfly nets and just scoop these people up.
Right. Yeah. No, I told my friends, I said, she's kind of cute. Maybe you can fix her. And she'll be here. She'll be here for the next 24 hours. So just come back down and talk to her. But the thing about squatters' laws in Georgia is the police can't make squatters leave an abandoned house. The person who owns the house has to make them leave. So if the person who owns the house, you can't get in touch with them, then people can squat in that house for as long as they want. And that's what was going on at this abandoned house on the other side of this neighborhood. And that's the trade-off when you don't have a homeowners association, which I hate. But you get this kind of thing to happen here. All right, we'll do this last one, then I'll let you guys go. It's late. Look at this one. This is a toilet paper attack at Family Dollar. North Carolina woman is behind bars after assaulting a Family Dollar worker who tried to stop her from escaping with a shopping cart packed with valuable electronic items. Thought it was toilet paper. Oh, wait. Sorry, correction. She was collared yesterday for attacking a female employee over a $6 pack of toilet paper. Okay, please say. When Stanley, seen to the right, that looks like somebody who's struggling and feels, I feel bad for her, actually. When she sought to shoplift from the Family Dollar in High Point, a worker, Deja Pierce, 29, attempted to stop the toilet paper heist. She told cops that she tried to lock and block the door. I tried to lock and block the door when the female attempted to leave with a pack of toilet paper. After she pulled Miss Pierce's hair, Stanley, which one's Stanley? Okay, Stanley is the one stealing the toilet paper, pulled the hair of the employee and attempted to move. The two then got into a fight. Police subsequently found Stanley circulating the area near Family Dollar and arrested her for assault and attempted larceny. She has been charged with a third-degree misdemeanor for allegedly damaging Pierce's iPhone during the... So the iPhone is the thing that gets you in trouble?
Yeah, I don't think it's the toilet paper, probably.
She's locked up without bond?
I wonder if this is one of those cases where they're just going to try to resell the thing on the street. Like there was the whole Tide theft epidemic where people would go steal Tide and then be like, "Hey, you want to buy some
Black
Tide?"
market Tide, you know?
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, totally. All right, guys, tell everybody where they can find you. Jake, we'll start with you.
All right. Going over to peacefulseed.network, www.peacefulseed.network. That's my network that I'm currently building. We've got, 9 podcasts, one launching this month, 9 podcasts, a few documentaries, and a lot more to come. So go check it out.
Yeah, you do a lot of great work. I've got some stuff up on Amazon, and you're a go-getter just like you, Zach. So tell everybody where they can find you.
yeah, so check me out at banishedbigbrother.com. I have a podcast there with my, partner in crime, Elizabeth Melton, who's very much into this whole anti-surveillance movement and, trying to avoid being pushed into these 15-minute cities that are slowly being built around us with, license plate readers and flock cameras and all this stuff everywhere. So we're trying to put this political action into effect with this issue. So please go there, check out the podcast, plug in your email. That way I can let you know what we're up to. And then also, you can catch me and Jake on Liberty Libations. So that's the more fun thing after that super serious spiel.
It's very good subject though. That's great. So check him out. You guys can find me at Freedom Act Radio. The link tree is where all my links are, and we'll do it again later this week. Thanks for hanging out in the chats, all the great comments. We'll talk to you guys next time. You'll have a fantastic rest of your evening.